Hello guys, welcome to the 712 Collective. As we kick this off, I got three announcements for us real quick. Number one, continue to vote on camp t-shirts. Most of you guys have voted. If you have not voted, the initial voting closes tomorrow. Please get your vote in, and this way we can make sure everybody likes the camp t-shirt that we're going to wear. Number two, do not forget Friday. Ladies, new Bible study for y'all, led by Miss Kim. She has been putting a lot of work for this, and she's really excited about this. It's that book that we gave to y'all, Radiant. And so please kind of read up on the first section of it, kind of familiarize yourself with it, and you guys will be going over that together this Friday. And lastly, praying that this will be one of our last strictly online 712 collectives. And so we are now kind of monitoring to see what the next steps will be to start reopening the church and restart youth. And so right now, we're still doing the online thing, obviously, but as soon as we get more information, that will be passed down to you guys. So hope to see y'all soon, and be in prayer for that. And so today we're going to go ahead and continue our Survey of the Bible series. And we're going to be looking at Exodus 16. And this is a passage that some of you might be very familiar with. And so it's the passage where God provides manna to the Israelites in the wilderness. And so as we look at this passage, we can see here that the Israelites are walking around in the wilderness. They're hungry. We can all kind of, in a small sense, relate to hunger, because we've all probably been in a spot where we just chose not to eat for the day, and we're just like all sitting there. Sometimes we get that headache, sometimes our stomachs cramp up, it growls. All right, so it's not really a good feeling. But imagine this for a prolonged period. And so what does Israel do? They begin to cry out to God. God, we're hungry down here. And so what does God do? He provides for his people. And so it starts to rain down this bread from heaven. It's called manna. And so they gather it every day. But now they get in this spot where they're eating this bread day in and day out. It can be a bit repetitive. It's kind of like this digital content that we do. All right? Some of it can be a bit repetitive. Getting online, doing Zoom, all these things. I get it. It can be repetitive. But this was the same meal every day. And so what happened in this situation, though, is that they lost sight of what God was doing for them. I mean, God was providing them food that they did not have. All right, food was not readily available for them always. And so what does God do? He rains on this bread so that everybody could eat. But they wanted more. See, God gave them this bread to sustain them. It wasn't random. It was significant. But in order to see the significance of this, we need to fast forward to the New Testament. And so we're all familiar with the one passage in John 6. See, 5,000 people gathered around Jesus, and they're hungry. They want food. All right, these people, very much like the Israelites, were hungry. They were looking for food. They were looking for something more. But not only were they hungry for actual physical food, but many of them were hungry for the Messiah. And what few of them realized is that they were about to receive and encounter both. And so in this passage right here, we look at this and we can see that Jesus takes the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and he miraculously feeds the thousands. And so the crowd was so caught up with this miracle, but they were still not convinced he was the Messiah. In fact, some of them have the audacity to say in John 6:31, and they said, Moses is more impressive than you. They had clearly lost sight of the person feeding their mouth. They had lost sight of the significance of what's going on here, but Jesus responds, and he really brings us to the significance of this. It says, truly, truly, I say to you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God, who comes down from heaven, gives you life to the world. I am the bread of life. he is saying is that I am the sustainer of life. I am the answer. I am what God is providing. He is telling them that he is the Messiah. He is the one that's saying that I am the way, the truth, the light. Jesus is the true manna, the bread that sustains our life. And what he would provide would never lack supplies. He is the one. He is our daily bread. But us in America, we might not understand the full context of what it means to have a daily bread. See, this wasn't a very wealthy population. See, we might not be able to relate fully to what it means to go hungry for a little bit. Here in America, I mean, literally about an hour ago, I pulled out my phone and I pushed what I wanted, and to my doorstep was delivered food. And so they didn't have this option to go to McDonald's. They didn't have this option to order something from Uber Eats. They didn't have the option to go to a 7-Eleven or a grocery store to get food. And so they were many times very hungry. Some of the people in this population did not have enough money to purchase their own daily bread. Well, Jesus is standing before them saying, I am your daily bread. Well, what is bread really signifying? It is what sustains our life. It's our fuel for life. Well, for the Christian, for the believer, Jesus is our fuel. All right, everything that really allows us to function. But we can also see how much we need Jesus. We need Jesus every day. See, you wouldn't go a week without eating unless you had no food. All right? Well, since you would not go a week without eating, why do many of you go and only worship Jesus once a week? And it almost makes no sense, because this is exactly what we need to see here. We need Jesus every day, because this shows us that we serve a God who will provide. He will provide every need that we have. And so when we look at the context of Exodus 16, see, one of the names that God often is called is Jehovah Jireh. Jehovah Jireh means the Lord will provide. That's exactly what he did in Exodus 16. That's exactly what he did in John 6. That's exactly what he did in the form of Jesus Christ when he took that cross for our sins. See, it's this right, seeing this right here. It is a perfect explanation of God's covenantal love for us. See, he surrounds us with a love. He provides for us. He promises us protection. He provides for his people. We can see even in the book of Revelation, Christ walked in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. He promised to provide a representative for each church. See, there's nothing that escapes the attention of God. There's nothing that escapes these factors. But when we read a passage like Exodus 16 and we compare it together with what it means in the New Testament context, we can begin to see that we serve a God who provides. Jehovah Jireh. He provides for us again and again. Jesus is the bread of life. He is our daily bread. And we need to worship Jesus every day. We need his presence, and we need him to guide us every day. One of the best quotes I know that speaks of this is that many people talk about how they need Jesus to live and move throughout their day. Well, friends, I couldn't even tie my own shoes to get up this morning if it was not for Jesus. And see, this is what we need to see here. We need to be hungry for Jesus, as hungry as the people in the wilderness, as hungry as the 5,000. And we need to see that the only thing that can feed that hunger is none other than the manna from heaven, the bread of life, Jesus Christ. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see y'all soon.